Welcome to Mogobe Nuggets of Wisdom podcast. My name is Mompoloki Lerumo Mogobe. Our objective is to enthuse, inspire, energize, and empower entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs of all stripes here in BW and beyond. We do so by inviting these entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs into our makeshift studio. Sometimes we call them to the restaurant, sometimes we go to our studio, and we ask them to share their experiential knowledge, their experiences and their expertise. And we ask them as many questions as we can, aimed at empowering you also as a viewer. Hello dear viewer and listener, my name is Mompoloki Lerumo Mogobe. I welcome you to another wonderful episode of Mogobe Nuggets of Wisdom podcast. We're bringing you life-changing and empowering business information as always. My guest today is going to talk about the manufacturing of ginger and related subjects. And it's a very, very exciting guest from a background of architecture, I believe. Do you want to tell them who you are and give a short introduction?
Okay, so my name
Welcome, by the way, to the studio.
Thank you so much for having me. My name is Lebogang Mmono. I am a young Motswana woman. I still call myself young.
You are young.
So my background is that I studied interior architecture or interior design, whichever one you decide to call it. And I worked for about 7 to 8 years in South Africa in the construction business, various businesses, be it full-on construction, tenant installations, which is just basically interior design, and I even did some lab design work. So it was various of fields that I dabbled in within the industry, which was so much fun. And that was before I decided to start Just Ginger, which is a beverage manufacturing company inspired by the production of kgemere, and hence we manufacture mainly kgemere at this point. Yeah.
Okay. What is your professional training?
My professional training, I have when it comes to manufacturing or generally, because I have a degree in interior design and architecture. From a school called Inscape Design College in Joburg. I started actually studying at UCT property development, and that's where my property interest is. But then I decided to move away from that, and that's when I went to study design because I'm more of a creative.
And how did you spend any time in that field practicing?
Yes, I did. That's why I started actually as an interior design intern.
How long were you in that?
For about a year, and then I moved into construction, where I was actually I ended up being a project manager for a construction company for about 2 years before I then moved on to lab design. So I did a lot of proper laboratories, like we designed labs for Coca-Cola, Mintec, all these big companies that required in-house labs. And
what's an in-house lab?
So where you test your product. So you typically in a manufacturing facility, you would have an in-house laboratory where they then test like the pH of the product in each batch. Just test it.
A newly discovered project, or generally?
No, generally. So Coca-Cola, for example, they test each batch of their product as and when they roll out, because they're obviously trying to avoid public liability when it comes to safety and all of that. It's quality control. Yeah.
Okay, so you dealt with that for how long?
That I did for about 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah. 2 years.
When did you realize that you're a bit of a creative?
I've always been a creative since I was a child. I think I was always half and half academia, like proper doing your biology, physics, chemistry, and then on the other hand I loved art and all the creative subjects. So it's always been creativity has always been part of my life, and even my friends and cousins always say when you should be a fashion designer or something, because I've always just been a creative.
Okay, when did you fire your boss, as they say, become an entrepreneur?
I decided to go into entrepreneurship in 2016. I think when I turned 30, oh, now I'm giving up my age. When I turned 30, it just light bulb on some. I need to do something for myself. I want to create my own empire, as we put it, and work for myself, because I've always wanted to work for myself, be it in the industry that I am qualified in or otherwise. I've always just wanted to have my own business eventually. So when the opportunity came for me to move back home, I decided then that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start this business and run with it if I'm going to go back home.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the business was the business of design.
No, the business was just ginger.
Oh, okay, all right.
Which is so, my story is so weird. So Just Ginger came about in 2015.
You decided that no, in Botswana you're done with architecture.
No, that wasn't actually. It just organically happened. It just. That's why I have to, I think, tell the story.
Yes.
Because initially, how it came about for me to actually start selling kgemere is because my friends were just like, you make really great kgemere. Because my mom taught me how to make kgemere because I was living away from home, and every time I came home I would stress her out, I better find kgemere. So then it just one day I found that she had bought me the tools and everything at home, and she said, I'm going to teach you so that you can go make your own and you don't need to bother me with it. So I started making it back in Joburg where I lived, in my own apartment. And then when my son was born, in 2013, I made it for his christening, I made it for his first birthday. And my friends were just like, seriously, I think you need to sell this. And I just thought, nah man, I mean, who sells kgemere? And then in 2015, a friend of mine just kept on pushing me. So then I thought, fine, if we're going to do this, then firstly, you're doing it with me, because she's a marketing guru. So I was like, I don't want to talk to people. You talk to people, I'll make the product. So, and then also the brand.
So you moved in as partners?
Yeah, we started it as two ladies who just, what I call is two women who loved kgemere, and we started this business. So the concept was that we wanted to create a kgemere brand, which basically we're selling convenience, because we were just like, why is it that actually
it tastes great, by the way.
Can't find, but you can't find it packaged beautifully. You can't find
it. I mean, let's be honest, it's really just ginger. Okay, carry on.
And I can't believe you gravitated towards that one. We'll talk about that one some more.
This one is the honeyed one.
Yes, the low sugar version. So we were wondering, why is it if you do find kgemere in the stores, it's just not packaged right. You don't really want to take it and put it in your wedding. It's just, we need to do it right. That was as a creative.
It's normally in plastic containers.
It's in plastic containers. Sorry.
And then it sort of falls all over the place. It's mushy, you know, when
it's
you grab
malleable. They always use,
it's malleable, yes.
So when we decided to go into it, I said to her straight, I have to make sure that it looks beautiful. I'm not going to sell something that I wouldn't buy. And it has to be an eco-conscious brand. That was always my vision for Just Ginger as a brand. So hence we then started with the glass bottles. Because they look amazing, you can recycle them, you know, so it just made sense. And it reminds us of back in the day, you know how back in the day, in your day, everything was in glass, and then all of a sudden everything moved into plastic. So I was like, let's go back to the nostalgia of glass bottles, where you used to find milk in glass. Everything was basically in glass, and then you would always refill. So that was the whole point of us using the brand, the bottles that we used at the time, and.
Okay. So why did you relocate from Joburg to here specifically?
When after I started the brand, I then decided I needed to move back home because I had a small child and I was alone as a single parent in SA. So it just didn't make sense for me to be so far away from home. So I decided to just take a leap of faith and come back home and try build this brand because it was starting to take off a little bit, but I needed to put in a lot more time into it for the marketing side to get people to buy into the buying kgemere off the shelf, because Botswana was just obviously, why should I buy it when I can make it myself? So to sell the art of convenience to Botswana, we had to do a lot of groundwork in terms of going to markets and your fairs and just to put the word out there and for people to taste it and see, okay, this actually tastes like our normal kgemere. But even though I can make it at home, it's like because I don't have the time. And that was the whole point when we started the brand. You buy it for your wedding because you don't Oscar, don't take the time out to make the kgemere. We have it for you, and it's beautifully packaged. So going back to that question, why did I come back home? It was mainly for me to build something that is mine in terms of a business, and also because of I wanted to be closer to family for my child.
In terms of quality control, what does it take to start something like this?
Firstly, you have to standardize your recipe. I think the biggest issue in the beginning was that sometimes the product wouldn't always taste the same. So I think the first step is always to standardize your recipe and make sure that you make it the same every time, so that every time the customer buys it, it tastes the same. And you obviously have to work in an extremely clean and hygienic space. Everything is about washing hands all the time and making sure you have hair nets and you clean everything.
Do you have to set up some kind of laboratory?
No,
to test
not yet.
and so on.
I'm not at that stage yet.
Oh, okay.
Setting up a laboratory is something that typically Coca-Cola would do because they have the money. Like even KBL, I'm sure they have their own in-house laboratory, but we don't. But if I need to test my product, I just go to the national lab, which is Hamarina, and you take 6 samples and you pay a nominal fee and you test your batch. Yeah. So that's something that a lot of people don't know. It's great to know for quality control that you can take your food product to the national lab and just have it tested.
Do you require any licenses?
Yes, you do. You need
Tell
a
me about those.
manufacturing license, which is called an industrial license in Botswana. It's a very laborious process, but it's something that is necessary. And also, that's something also that helps you get your quality control measures into place, because you have to actually submit a quality control management plan. When you submit, you also have to get it tested at the national lab, and you have to talk about your...
Is there an EIA component?
The EIA,
environmental impact assessment.
The EIA only comes in if you are building your own facility.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So
and especially in a space in an area where you don't have sewage and which, I mean, it's not usually the case in Mogobe. So that's when you need an EIA.
Okay. And give us a picture of the setup you have.
Mine is very small. I still don't have machinery yet, and hence I am looking into investors at the moment, because to scale you need machinery, and for you to even export you need machinery. But that's another story. So a typical setup for me, I feel like I'm going to be giving away my process, but we're looking at, you need a lot of space, because obviously when you're packaging, you need to know exactly how to rotate your product from start to finish, meaning from when you're filling the bottles, capping, putting on the labels, and then all the way into packaging into the boxes or the cartons, whatever you call it. So your factory has to have a layout according to your process. You need to be very meticulous about how your process works, so that you can set up your space accordingly. And you need to make sure that it also has running water, especially hot and cold, so that you can clean it easily, wash your hands regularly, and yeah.
Okay, this is a common product, isn't it? Ginger.
Yes. Now it is. I think
yeah.
we're now starting out.
I mean, when we're growing up, I mean, in Manyalo,
Yes.
it's there. When I say common, I mean it's well known.
Yes.
So how do you monetize, and how did you? I want to go through your thinking processes. This is monetizable. How you went about it.
Once again, like I said, we were selling convenience. So, and that's why it took us quite a long time for us to convince Batswana hore it's a good idea for you to just buy from us instead of making it for yourself. Because obviously the price point, when instead of making it for yourself, it's quite higher. Because once again, we are selling convenience and it's a service at the end of the day. So, hey, how to monetize it? Just build reputation, consistency, build a reputation. Word of mouth is a big issue.
And get at a good price point.
Yes and no. It depends on what your value proposition is, of course.
I was going to ask you what your ISP is.
Yes, because
a USP, unique selling proposition.
Because when we came into the market, with this product, right, which is a lot more expensive than what was already.
Which
on
one
the
is
market.
this? Take us through this.
So this is the original Just Ginger Chimera product. It's packaged in glass. It's preservative free.
What's unique about it? Can you tell us more?
So unlike most Chimera products on the market, ours is very authentic to the Setswana Chimera that we grew up with. So it's fermented, and then it is packaged right at the fermentation point, and we try to make sure it then carries throughout its life. It tastes exactly the same for the 2 months on the shelf.
So it's only 2 months expiry.
Yes, because it is preservative free. So like I said, when I started, it was all about making it sure that it's authentic to the original Chimera, and also packaging it beautifully. And also making sure that it's a green product, meaning we can recycle the bottle and the cap, and so our unique selling proposition was always the beauty, plus the fact that it tastes as authentic as your mother's Chimera.
Okay, and then this one, I see this one is plastic.
Yes, so then. So this is what we came into the market with. The price is a lot higher. We knew it was higher, but we were...
Because of the bottle?
Yes, because of the bottle and because of how it is prepared. It takes quite a while, because we also pasteurize it, which is another process that we've added in, which takes quite a bit of time. So hence it is more expensive than your typical Chimera on the shelf. But we were deliberate with that one, to be honest, because we were trying to tap into the niche market. But then as time went on and as COVID came, COVID taught us that we needed to kind of adapt to the times. So that's how we came up with Pafana by Just Ginger. So this brand is similar.
Maybe you can explain to them what Pafana means. So
Pafana, Pafana is a vessel that you drink. Typically, you drink Bojalabases from Momanyalo, traditional beer out of. So we named our secondary brand Pafana because we were looking at that. It's a beverage brand, what you drink beverages out of. Pafana. And a lot of people think it's alcohol, and I'm like, no, calm down. But the whole concept was to take it back to our roots and be as authentic and Setswana as we possibly can. And that's why we came up with this name. It's still a Chimera. However, the formula is slightly different because we have decided to add preservatives in order for us to package in plastic bottles.
And for it to last longer.
And for it to have a longer
What's its shelf life?
6 months currently. We can look into extending it, but I also think that we didn't want to distort the taste too much because we also love the fact that it still tastes as, we try to keep it as authentically Setswana Chimera as possible.
I noticed that it's substantially larger. Is there a reason for that?
It's a 500 ml. This one is a 250 ml.
Yeah.
And that is because after doing a lot of research and market research and talking to literally people on the streets, we found that people at preferred either 330 ml or 500 ml for their lunches and all of that. The 250 ml, however, works with the niche market. No one wanted the 500 ml in this version. However, with this one, because we were looking at the day-to-day and all of that, this 500 ml works a lot better. Yes. So they even want a bigger one for home use.
Okay.
Yes.
Are the tastes significantly different, or
I personally think that if you know just ginger and you've been drinking this one for a very long time, you'll pick it up. If you don't, then they taste very similar.
Let's talk about retailing and distribution. How are you handling those two aspects?
We do it in-house, meaning we do it ourselves currently.
What do you mean exactly? You're selling from home?
No, we handle our distribution in-house, meaning we supply to stores. So currently we have, especially with both brands, we are at Square Mart. With Pafana, it has taken over in the retail space for us. So it's more, it's a perfect product for retail. So it's now in Trans, it's at Square Mart, it's at a lot of engine convenience stores within Greater Gaborone. So Gaborone, Magoditani, Tlokweng, and a bit of Katling so far.
Congratulations. How did you penetrate into the big retailers? What did it take?
It takes a lot. It takes a lot.
Someone said it's a war and a half.
It's a war and a half. The only retailer who I can honestly say without a doubt supported us from the word go, didn't hesitate, was Square Mart. They, when they come to supporting Botswana, they are doing it perfectly. They don't fight with us. We don't. It's just you come with your product.
Seamless.
They tell you what you need to fix it. You go back, you fix it. You come back, you put it on the shelves. It's very seamless. A lot of retailers, however, Botswana tend to give us the runaround of note.
What seems to be the difficulty?
I honestly wish I knew, because typically you speak to a lot of retailers, and especially when you talk to them through Bolea and all the parastatals who help us tap into these markets, they seem to give us they say that it's easy. Just bring your product, bring this information, and we move. However, most of us find that it takes months, if not years, for them to actually put your products on the shelf. And it's not
Why? They put it at the back?
No, they don't take it until I don't know what happens.
What seems they have competing products of their own, or?
I'm not. I don't think that's not the issue.
But you still managed to penetrate, so you must have done something right.
I think it's a trust issue. I found that a lot of people tend to say that kana lona Botswana, you tend to bring your products, and then after a few months you fall off and you disappear. So I think it's more of a trust issue than anything.
They don't think you can sustain.
They don't think we can. Yes, but how can we sustain if you are not being supported? So it's also a bit of a catch-22. Yeah.
But you managed to penetrate, and how has it been overall, especially with regard to this product?
Yes, it's still very difficult. Let me tell you, it's still very difficult for you to penetrate. You have to basically be on them all the time and say, please take it, please take it.
But even then, you have to come back and check if it's properly positioned.
Yes, and that's why we do our own merchandising and distribution in-house, because we have to then go to every store and make sure that your product is placed properly. You check every week if they need more stock. So it's a lot more work for, I think, us as small businesses locally than bigger manufacturing businesses.
And what can be done about that? What do you think is the solution?
I don't want to be too controversial, but I mean, you've seen how but you can't do that with every product, where you close the borders and say you can't bring this product in. You can't do that with every product.
Yeah, but you can do it with ginger.
Yes, but most gingers on the shelf are local. So I think the only one that is not local would be your Stony, and but that's not even a ginger beer, it's a ginger soda. So it's very different. So we can't close the borders for everything. However, I think we do need to enforce to retailers to support local a lot more than they are at the moment.
Okay. How did you decide to start going the honey route with this one? I loved it, by the way. See, I finished it.
You finished?
Yeah.
So
Tastes great.
The low sugar came about in 2019. Yes, this was the first. Actually, I think I came up with two options. There was a low sugar, and then I made a salsa using khemere, because I was like, let me try play around and see what else we can come up with. Khemere. And I then sat around and thought we need to come up with a product that is great for diabetics, because I have a lot of clients who are very health conscious and also have health issues, and they will say, I love your khemir, but I can't have it really. I can maybe have a bit over in soda water just so that I can get that gingery taste. But I can't really have it because of the sugar content. So that's when I started playing around with alternatives, sugar alternatives, to see what we can come up with. And I used different types of alternatives, and most of them didn't work. Plus, I wanted a natural one. So that's when the honey idea came about. I started experimenting using a friend's honey. Because there's
And if I'm not mistaken, this is only one of its kind. Honeyed ginger.
Ginger, yes, so far, actually.
So you're an innovator, or even a disruptor in some senses.
I'm on track.
Yeah. And so you're still telling us the story.
Yes, so it took quite a long time to get the right recipe and get it right. And I made my brother was my biggest taster because he just doesn't like sugar. So he tasted a lot of versions up until I came up with this recipe. And it's the one that is at Square Mart. Everyone loves. All my low sugar khemere lovers are enjoying it so far.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you supply directly from the, I can't say from the factory, from the source?
Yes, we do.
How does that work?
When you buy directly from us, we supply in cases. So you have to buy, for the 250 ml, the case is 30 units. For the 500 ml, the case is 24 units. And then we also have a 2 liter only for khemere, which is a glass bottle.
Wow.
And for those, you get 4 in a box. That's a case. So you can buy from us directly, but it's also a per order. You have to place an order first and all of that.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can't just walk in and get what you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, are these the only flavors, or there are more flavors?
We have more. We have 3 khemere cocktails. So we, during COVID, had a lot of time on my hands.
Yeah.
I made,
Especially during the lockdown.
Yes, I had so much time because we during the markets, when we used to go for markets and fairs and all these private events, we used to make khemere cocktails. That's how we started making money at your markets, because I mean, selling non-alcoholic khemere at a market, not everyone is going to buy it, but selling a cocktail at a market, that's where everyone was sitting there and getting tipsy and going home.
And you're still doing it?
Sorry?
You're still doing
Yes,
it from time to time?
From time to time, we'd still do it. However, during COVID, because we couldn't do events during COVID, I had a lot of clients who were saying, I missed your cocktails. So I started experimenting once again. And I made 3 cocktails. One is plain, it's a gin and khemere. They're only gin cocktails. So it's gin and khemere. And then there are 2 flavored ones. We make our own flavor in-house. We're using fresh fruit and herbs. And then we infuse it. And there's one which is called pink chai khemere. And then the other is called blue citrus khemere. And they're all gin infused. Yeah, so I couldn't bring those today. Unfortunately, we ran out of stock earlier in the week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the market is responding well to those?
With those ones, the market it's still very slow with those ones. I think because of the price point is higher, So we are still working on how we can lower it so that it can be.
But your background in
cheaper.
marketing should come in handy in terms of how
My-
you can excite. Yeah.
Yes.
Is it your partner?
She's no longer my business partner, but she does help from time to time.
You don't think she can come up with a massive promotion and just jog the market with it?
We are working on a way to do that. I can't say a lot about it, but I am working on a way to kind of jumpstart a little bit, and also try and tap into the export, or well, find interest in the export market.
Yeah.
So that's something that I'm working on vigorously at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's been the best part of the journey of Just Ginger so far?
I guess coming up with new things is so much fun. Yeah, it's like right now, actually, when you said I'm a disruptor, it then made me start thinking about, okay, maybe I downplay my abilities a little bit.
You need
to. But so far, the best thing has always, the journey has been amazing. And I mean, getting into Just Ginger, I got into wilderness in 2018, wilderness safaris.
Wow.
We are one of their suppliers. And I think the only Khmer supplier for wilderness safaris. So that was one
It's
of...
a very good,
it's an amazing achievement.
Corporate client.
Yeah, it's a great achievement. And I mean, we've had amazing corporate clients throughout our journey. Your De Beers and Debswana and the list is endless. So it's just been an amazing journey.
On the marketing side, have you thought of using influencers, or you don't think they have any use on a product of this nature?
I have a lot of influencer friends. Like Just Ginger has a lot of influencer friends, but we've never actually paid an influencer to.
They might even do it for free if they're willing.
We've had influencers talk about our product, like they will come over to our events and all of that and post, and it does help actually when they do. We just haven't gotten to a point.
You need to do more of it, don't you think?
We do. Especially when it comes to the cocktails. That one I think would work a lot.
You mentioned you're interested in angel investing, and let me tell you, we're looking for businesses that are A, investable, and B, scalable. Can you convince me if you're investable and if you're scalable?
Oh my gosh, you just put me on the spot.
For you to be investable, you have to have traction,
yes.
proof of concept, and you have to have the numbers to justify in terms of the it's traction, I said.
Traction,
and then of course you need to be as an entrepreneur teachable, yes. and willing to adapt and determined, of course, among other things. So deal with the investability first.
Okay. Can I start with the willing to adapt? Okay. For example, over COVID, we have come up with, typically when you're down, you don't see people coming up with products. We came up with 3 cocktails. We came up with a low budget version in order to help us keep moving during a difficult time, which then is actually, this product is the one that is pushing our traction a lot more now, because obviously Just Ginger it's more of a niche product. It's for weddings, your corporate events, your hospitality. So although we are still pushing into those spaces, Pafana has grown quite substantially. We've gone
from overtaken these two?
It has. We have gone from selling about 480 units in 3 months, which is the first 3 months of Pafana being on the
units
market.
As in cases?
No, 480 units, meaning 20 cases over the 3 months when we were first starting out, last year March. That's when Pafana was launched, last year March. And this month alone, we have sold 80 cases of Pafana. So it's slowly, it's slowly pushing the boundaries, and I've even hired a salesperson to help me get into and distribute a lot more seamlessly within the market, and that's why we managed to get into engine. We've managed to get into trans. So we are now currently in Trans Gaborone, the cash and carry in Lebogang. There's a small express in Gaborone, which was also into, and also the hyper in Mogobe.
So have you valued the company such that you're able to attract funding in terms of getting some equity there, somebody to buy shares in it in your company?
We are busy working on that with my accountant. Like I said, I've been talking about getting an investor just recently within the past 3 months or so.
You need to get the valuation sorted.
Yes.
And you need to work on your pitch. We can assist you with that at Angel Network Botswana.
Yes.
And then if the pitch, because I'm not even clear what you're going to do with the money, but by the time you pitch, you have to tell us, what percentage of the company you're willing to sell to investors, and more importantly, how you propose to do with that money exactly.
Machinery.
Is it just machinery? Have you identified the machinery?
Yes, I have identified the machinery. We identified the machinery in 2019, and then with COVID, we just waited. But now we are at a point where we need it. In order for it to scale up, you can't scale without machinery. So, and we want to tap into South Africa. That's always been...
As a market.
As a market. We have been working with USAID for over the past year or two.
What are they doing for you?
Helping me with knowing how to export. So all the trade agreements.
Talking about AGOA?
No,
AGOA is too much.
AGOA is too much. I'm not there yet. I want to start just here. If I can start with South Africa and Namibia.
It's just that when you mentioned USA, I was wondering.
No, USAID Trade Hub.
Oh, Trade Hub, okay.
They have been helping they help Southern African countries basically tap into all sorts of markets. So it has been an extremely beneficial experience actually working with them.
Okay. Yeah. Let's do the crystal ball thing. If you're looking 10, 15 years down the line, what's happening with Just Ginger brand and yourself?
The Just Ginger
as Lebogang Mmono,
in 15 years.
10 to 15.
10 to 15 years. Definitely have a fully operational manufacturing plant with an in-house lab.
Yes. Yeah.
So
we asked about that one.
Yes, the scale, Coca-Cola. I think that's what I typically see us at. Yeah. We have to be producing at that scale in order for us to actually supply South Africa. I think the way that I want to supply South Africa, we need for us to be manufacturing at those levels like Coca-Cola. So that's where I see Just Ginger. I see us producing more than just Khamere. So a range of mixers, because I call this one a mixer because it's perfect to mix with your whiskey, your gin, everything. So I typically would like to produce still authentic, also have a range of authentically Setswana products, but then also have your range of mixers, which include our flagship product. Okay.
So you are prepared to sell what, 20% of the company for purpose of growth, 30%?
Yeah, up to 30. We could talk if it's more, but
yeah, well, it depends on the valuation and whether it's realistic.
It depends on how much I need and what we value the company at. Let's hope it makes sense.
Yeah. So that's what you're looking for. They jokingly say that you're looking for friends, fools, or angels. No, friends, fools, and family. And angels are normally in the category of fools.
But are they?
No, it's just a joke.
It's just
a joke in the industry.
Because I think it's actually commendable if you're willing to part with your money to help another business.
Provided you're willing to run with it and to do something.
Yes.
Because the objective is to improve the ecosystem, to have things run, better in the to improve and also cultivate the culture of entrepreneurship.
Yes. That's for
Okay, what's in store for Just Ginger, and what can we expect immediately? Is there something in the offing now?
Ugh, and that's something that I really didn't want to really talk about. But we are working on our full-on marketing strategy. So we are sort of overhauling and making sure that it is a product worth taking to the world stage. We are working on our website. We're working on our product catalog proper. I've done an extensive design brand manual. So yeah, that's what we've been busy working on the low key, quietly. Yes, a lot of people have been asking, why are you so quiet nowadays? And I'm like, I'm just trying to make sure that
Are you quiet even on social media?
Yeah, somewhat. Because I think we've just been busy trying to grind and get it everywhere where we need it to get, especially Pafan. I think I've been focusing a lot on the sales and business development side of the business rather than marketing. We still do tell people where you can find it and everything, but we are not as aggressive as we used to be, which I do understand why people ask, are you still around?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if someone were to ask you, what's your differentiator? What puts you head and shoulders above your competition? What would you say?
Me as Lebogang or
The both.
the business? Consistency has always been the thing that sets us apart, to be honest. Typically, Just Ginger, if you tasted it in 2018, it still tastes the same. It still tastes the same. If not better, maybe. But we have tried to be as consistent as possible because I do think that for you to build longevity as a brand is for you to be consistent regardless of what's happening around you.
Okay.
Yeah.
The rural areas, have you tapped into that market yet?
That's where Papana has been. I think people, and I mean, I'm not calling Mogobe rural, but we are going further and further out of the city with Pafana, which has been very interesting. I mean,
but when you're talking Maung and you're talking Khanti, you are not there yet?
Not there yet.
Okay.
Maung, we're only at Wilderness Safaris because obviously they can afford to pick up our product, whereas because of the distribution challenges, getting to the rural areas with Pafana is going to take quite a bit of time.
And effort.
Yeah. But we are slowly expanding our footprint into, like I said, Khatleng, into Gwening. So, at least we are now in trans. So we are trying to move out of the city a little bit, but we're doing it organically and slowly so that we don't kill ourselves.
Okay. All right. It's time when you can ask me a question now as we come to...
I feel like I want to ask two.
You want to ask two?
Yeah. But the first one is, why podcasting, and has it helped your business in any way?
It's a two-part question. Podcasting was a progression from radio. Okay. Because previously we were with Duma in Meet the Overcomers show, which had been running for 14 years. I had Mr. Recton Mazani there helping me, but I started it.
Okay.
But I've always been a curious bloke wanting to hear and understand what's happening in the marketplace. In terms of how it has enhanced or helped our other businesses, it's too early to say. The business is, because it's centered around me. It can only be one person on a mic. But I think there's enough traction for me to say there's a lot of market recognition of Mogobe Nuggets now. And it indirectly promotes other businesses because the name is the same. So sometimes you cannot tell when when the money lands in the account, whether it's as a result of this or the other. But I've had so much positive feedback from my previous guests and from the men in the street saying, keep on what you're doing. Yes, I learned something from this. I find this motivational. I find this inspiring. So for as long as I get that positive feedback, I think it's worth it.
It's worth it.
It's worth it, even though I can't prove whether it has impacted the bottom line directly.
Okay. And then my second question, how do you stay on top of your game with so many different businesses?
I have a good team. I mean, I have a PA who's excellent, who helps me control the traffic. So it helps. But I do have managers who are at key positions throughout the, I call it the gentle giant, which is our group of companies. I have someone on, on operations, someone on accounts, someone on collections, someone on HR, and so on and so forth. So business development, restaurants, each component has a manager. So my job is to assist and manage those managers. So I think that's how most successful businesses that have managed to scale and to grow, because you can't do it all yourself. So I try to incentivize my managers and empower them as best I can. So that is the key.
But then how do you go from, because when you're small, when you're still starting out, you can't have managers, right?
It's a progression.
Okay.
You'll know when the time is right. But of course, what you mustn't do, and what I would urge everybody listening, is to engage in personal development, to learn how it's done, to learn from those who've done it, to continually educate yourself. The minute you think you know it all, you're arrogant or you're too lazy to study or read, you're stuck, my friend. You'll be there for a long time where you are. Okay. As we conclude, take a look at that camera over there, this one, and leave the viewer with something inspirational, motivational, uplifting as we wrap up.
Uplifting. I think I want to talk to the people who are maybe who are in business or what have you, and you're struggling, I think, trying to get out of this rut that this COVID and all the economic situation out there has put us in, and just encourage you to just persevere. I think that's something that I tell myself every day when I wake up. You have to persevere, you have to just endure, but obviously keep moving. Don't just sit and be stuck. Stay moving and put one foot in front of the other, because it should be okay eventually. That's all.
Okay, wonderful message. How do they reach you? How do they get hold of the ginger? Give them all your contact details.
Okay, so you can find us on Facebook and Instagram. Our handle is @JustGingerBevs, BEVS, Just Ginger Bevs. And you can call us or WhatsApp us at 7523-7431. We are available Pafana is available at most engine quick shops within the city and just outside the city, meaning Gauteng, Kwening, and at Trans Africa, Cash and Carry, and at Square Mart, and other small general dealers and stores around. Just Ginger is mainly available at Square Mart, and you can find it at 267 and other restaurants around the city. And
Is there a contact number where they order?
Yes, that's our WhatsApp line, which is 7523-7431. WhatsApp is the best way to contact us because our catalog is on there, and it's easier for us to interact.
Okay. You've done a very good job, and thanks for the Pafana here, as well as the Just Ginger.
I should clearly bring you a lot more high-end one when I have
People
stock.
don't know the hidden benefits of having a podcast. You get free stuff. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Yeah.